So this is the first ever no tail rotor, 2-channel. It had no speed control or anything in it. This particular one, I put a speed control in it. We're going to fly it today in a really serious wind. It's like 25 mile an hour out there, just to show how well this thing will handle in the wind.
There's 22 miles an hour, 26, 26. Really gusty. So let's go ahead and go see if we can get that Hyperfly to fly in this wind. Okay. Let's give it a shot. See how it goes. A little windy out here today, folks. Figure out where the wind is coming from.
To do a pirouette, you just pull back on the cyclic stick. To get out of it, you push forward. Away you went.
And that's how you do it.
So it flew pretty easy in the wind. Look at the trees.
Easy.
Even a caveman could do it. Well, before the next flight in calm winds, here's a little bit of history on the Hyperfly that my subscribers know, but may not be known by my newer viewers. You know, I've taught many folks to fly helis and airplanes over the last 50 years, but no matter how much a person really wants to learn, many, no matter how easy you make it for them, like this Hyperfly, they get disappointed, find out it's a little harder than they thought, and they give up. Especially before the gyros came on board, and those helicopters they tell their friends they flew just hang in the garage. Many say they flew them, but never actually say it was only 1 inch off the ground. So I tried to make it easy for them when I invented the Hyperfly.
Hello folks. Well, I'm going to show you today something that's near and dear to my heart because I invented this Hyperfly helicopter for Kyosho. Aki Suzuki and his dad run the Suzuki Motor Corporation. And back in the day when we were learning, we didn't have gyros. There is no gyro in this. In fact, there's no tail rotor in this. We were trying to make it so that the person flying a model airplane could fly a helicopter. Because learning to hover, that was always the hard part with the helicopters. Not only did you have to know how to run a gas engine, I mean a nitro engine, you had to know how to fly the helicopter, so you had to know how to get started, and this made it easy. There were no electrics back in the day, and so this is the first ever no tail rotor, 2-channel. It had no speed control or anything in it. This particular one, I put a speed control in it. When you pulled that down, that started the motor. The rotors would take off full throttle. I'm using the LiPo battery in here instead of the nickel metal hydride that was much more heavier. The way this thing works is you hand launched it. That was always the way you do it. Many model airplanes are hand launched today. And when it got run out of power and started to slow down, you knew when to land, and what you did, this would come in and set down like this and shut off and land. So you had to kind of just fly it like your airplane around. The tail would just follow it like a weather vane. It's a pretty simple thing. And Aki Suzuki told me that it was their most successful product they ever had. And so I'm honored to have been a part of that. Many people couldn't fly it, especially in the United States, because Great Plains gave it with a Mode 1 radio, and that went really well overseas, but horrible in the United States. Those of us that put in a single stick radio had much better luck with it because everything is right and all you got to do is fly it around. The tail is the exact same shape as a Frisbee. That gives lift. Like when you throw a Frisbee, it lifts, and this way it counteracts the torque. So in forward flight, everything helps. And the way it got started was I had been buying high-tech RCD stuff from Chun Park and the guys at RCD High Tech. That's a radio control development, that's what that meant. And they became pretty good friends of mine. I went down and I showed Chun my prototype of this. And he said, make a tape. I showed him the tape from the very first one. You've seen that on my YouTube channel. And he took that tape to Japan and had a meeting with Aki Suzuki. And that's how this all got started. They were all talking about it when they saw the tape, and that's how it all got started. So my thanks also to Chun Park and his dad. They came down and visited when I was flying, and we had a good time in San Juan Capistrano. These are foam wings, and pretty strong too, and there's really not a whole lot to it. It's a brushed motor, a 380 size motor.
Well, after selling the idea to Kyosho, it took about another 2 years before it actually went into production. To a person who understands how and why it works, it was great. For those who never figured it out, it wasn't that great. You know, if a person can't fly something, they always put it down, or they blame the hobby shop, it was defective when they bought it, whatever. So before I show you how it flies in low winds, here are a few pictures of its placement in the San Diego Aerospace Museum's Model Aircraft Hall of Fame and the Academy of Model Aeronautics Museum in Muncie, Indiana, plus pictures of other body styles Kyosho came out with over the years, including some of the many versions of helicopters I converted to a NoTar. You saw me fly it in the wind this morning, so here we go. Slow it down a little bit here. The Hyperfly. So this is how it was 30 years ago. The Skylark EH-1 actually was the first production electric helicopter. So please stay tuned, as in the next video I'm going to demonstrate the EH-1 helicopter, which was invented 10 years earlier in 1978, and the machine I used to invent the ETRM, that's electronic tail rotor motor, for Ishimasa in Japan. Ishimasa was absorbed by Kyosho, and of course ETRMs are now widely used on many helicopters today. And thanks a lot to Ilea for the extra camera work and her assistance. I hope you enjoyed seeing another bit of RC history. Maybe you'll be inspired to invent something from this too. Convert one of your helicopters with a broken tail rotor and resurrect it to a NoTar just for fun. Paper plate worked just fine. So thanks a lot for watching, and please subscribe.